Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. A little rough around the edges this morning, but I am still very happy and grateful, full of joy for another day of life. So let's see, we're going to do the July the 5th, just for today in a meditation. And I have some good news for you. I'm just trying to decide when to share it. But I'm looking forward to adding more meditations to this channel. We're going to add some more meditations. By the end of the month, I will have some interviews that I've edited that will be added as well. And we're going to make this channel very robust. We want it to be robust with information regarding your recovery. Also have some health and wellness things that I want to discuss. So we're going to be adding content, and you can come in here and you will find more than just the NA meditation, but all of it will be, I promise you, all of it will be recovery related. Now, I did catch a quick peek of the title, and I have to tell you, let me just go to it before I say anything else. Let's just pull it up. Exploring Spiritual Options, July 5th. Now, I have to tell you that when I read this quote, my mind said, oh, you're going to need a couple more hours of waking up, stretching, some dandelion root mixed with some coffee. You're going to need a couple of hours to even tackle this topic. That's what my mind told me. And then the next thought right behind that was, the devil is a lie, because I'm ready in season and out of season, right? I know what God has given me to do, and I know that He has given me the strength and the power to carry out His will in accordance with step 11. So I'm not confused about that. So I went ahead and opened it up. Let's get into it. The nature of our belief will determine the manner of our prayers and meditation. Basic text, page 44. How do we pray? For each NA member, this is a deeply personal matter. Many of us find that over time, we develop a manner of prayer and meditation based on what we learn from others and what we are comfortable with. Some of us arrive in NA with a closed mind toward a power greater than ourselves. But when we sit down with our sponsor and discuss our difficulty, looking at the second step in depth, we are pleased to find that we can choose any concept of a higher power that appeals to us. Just as our definition of a power greater than ourselves differs from addict to addict, so does our manner of achieving a conscious contact. Some attend religious services, some chant, some sit quietly or talk with whatever is out there. Some find a spiritual connection by communing with nature. The right way to pray and meditate is whatever way helps us improve our conscious contact with our own higher power. Asking others how they found their spiritual guidance is always a good place to begin. Let me wet my throat a little bit. Okay. Reading literature before we enter periods of meditation can also help us. Many have gone before us on this search. As we seek spiritual growth, we can greatly benefit from their experience. Just for today, I will explore my options for improving my conscious contact with the God of my understanding. Wow, wow, wow. Let's do the serenity prayer. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the serenity prayer with this information in mind, okay? Moment of silence now. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. You know, there's so much to unpack with this topic, but first, let me just say this. Let me just say this. The fact that our connection to a power greater than ourselves, our higher power, a God according to our own understanding, is an option, is a right, but it is also a privilege. It is one of the most beautiful gifts that Narcotics Anonymous has ever given to me. Barring the fact that probably the most beautiful gift, besides being clean, right? A way to stay clean, live a clean life. Besides that, because that should be expected, right? That is a given. If you do the work, you should be able to maintain that, right? Most of the time, people relapse is because they have some undealt with issues. And a lot of times, they don't even know what those issues are. I remember one addict said to me, she said, it feels like there's something inside of me, right? And I don't know how to get it out. I submit that when a person is working the steps, writing the steps, and doing service work and living the spiritual principles of this program, you can get a pretty good run of staying clean. And the reason why is because now you're actively involved with the program. You have a service commitment. And I believe, this is just my impression, you understand the reasons why you've been using. It's hard to have something inside of you that is driving you. I call it the disease of addiction. I humanize it or spiritualize it sometimes, right? But the point is that this disease of addiction is obsession and compulsion. And it drives a person to pick up in instances where if they applied spiritual principles to whatever they were dealing with, they would not see the need to pick up. That desire to pick up would decrease. Okay. So I believe that this program, beyond the obvious, right? The obvious promise that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Okay, beyond that, because that is a promise of this. If you do the work, it's contingent on doing the work. Okay, so when you find people that cannot stay clean, right? They can stop, but they can't stay stopped. Then that is evidence of an individual that needs to do more work in regards to the 12 steps, in regards to the spiritual principles that are bestowed as a result of doing the step work. Beyond that, beyond that, the right and the privilege to have a God of my own understanding and not have to check it by anybody, not have to run it by anybody, not to have to be approved by anyone, is one of the greatest gifts that Narcotics Anonymous has ever given me. And I believe it can be one of the greatest gifts it has ever given you. So now, it also teaches an individual tolerance. Remember when we do our, I want to say it's, what is Narcotics Anonymous, or it might be how it works. But we have found, right, that intolerance, right, in these three principles, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, we found that they are indispensable. So when you're intolerant, you're saying that honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness are not important in my life. Because most of the stuff we're intolerant about, if we had an open mind, we would not be intolerant, right? It kills it. You know, that song said, I got to kill it. Yeah, it kills. It kills some of the things that we say we have issues with when it comes to other people. But because it's my right and my privilege, it is also the right and the privilege of other people. It teaches me to be tolerant, because I'm in essence, I'm saying, if I have the right and privilege, you also have it. And I don't have a right to judge it. I don't have to debate it with you. Look, listen, I come from a deeply religious background. I come from a deeply religious background where you had to toe the line, right? There was no such thing as you just keep using, right? You couldn't just keep using drugs and call yourself a member. There was a high standard of living. And I think that it still influences me, if I'm being honest, to a degree today, in regards to how I deal with the topic of God, how I deal with lining my lifestyle up with what I consider to be acceptable behavior. But I know a lot of people don't come from the same color cloth that I come from. They have a different higher power, right? And in some ways, I have had to change my understanding of my higher power, because there was no room for error. There was no room for human error. And so I had to adjust it. And I was so grateful when I found out that I could adjust my understanding of my higher power so that my relationship could flow better, that it didn't feel so condemnatory when I stumbled over simple things. Now, I'm generally speaking a person that will learn from my own mistakes, but I was very arrogant as well. I was very, men were just like eye candy to me. I mean, I guess I had some obsession with them if they serve my purpose, right? So I had a tendency to be abusive in nature, just in general. I mean, just in general, I didn't take the relationships seriously. And a lot of them didn't deserve it anyway. But I'm just saying, I wasn't a type of person that, I think maybe there's been 2 or 3 men in my whole life that I loved so intently that the thought of not having them made me not want to live. There's only 2 or 3 that ever even came close to that. Okay. So the person that I became in Narcotics Anonymous started to reveal herself over a period of time. There were layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of dead skin that had to be shedded. But it had to be shedded after I understood it was no longer serving me any purpose. And it's the same thing with you. Okay, it's the same thing with you. Some of you are sitting there listening to this, thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with on topic? It has a lot to do. because you need to figure out your relationship with your higher power. You need to figure out that the way that you have a conscious contact with your higher power is up to you. If you go to church on Sunday, go to church. If you go to mosque, go to mosque. If you go to the Kingdom Hall, 3 days a week, do that. If you're Catholic and you do mass, do that. If you're a Buddhist and you want to chant and pray, do that. But even in the doing, listen to me, okay? Even in the doing of what you're choosing to do, remember that if it does not have evidence, of improving your life spiritually, meaning that you don't buckle every time a storm comes your way, meaning that you can deal with conflict in a manner that is healthy and beneficial for all the parties involved. Yesterday's reading, in a manner that when you present yourself to your family, you're the same person that you present yourself to out there when you're doing things, running around in errands. A lot of us are much more kind to strangers than we are with the very people we live with. Oh, because we think that, they're going to accept. They know me. They know how I am. They know how I'll cuss up in the storm, and then come Sunday, I'll be praying and fasting. They know how I am. Just because they know how you are doesn't mean that what you're doing and how you are is acceptable. Especially if you run around here talking about you have a relationship with your higher power, and you've got an understanding of who and what your higher power is, and you have a manner of showing adoration for your belief system. But you run around here like a filthy, dirty garbage can, but you're shiny on the outside. Nobody is listening to that. Come on now, let's keep it 100, right? Let's just keep it 100. Let's say, just for today, I need to explore my spiritual options. I need to understand what it is inside of me that is not allowing me to have the fruit of the relationship, the conscious contact with the God of my own understanding that I say I have. Now, if that's not you, you live a very clearly spiritual life, and you feel good about all your relationships with people, and you deal with conflict well because you're going to have conflict. If that's not you, then this isn't for you. Send this link to someone that you know is struggling with understanding that they can have a God of their own understanding that is loving and caring. That's all that I'm asking, is that you consider it. Is the higher power that you say you have, does that relationship bear fruit? That when other people observe you, and I hate it when people say, I don't care what other people think. Okay, that's all right. But generally speaking, we do sort of really have a concern about what other people think. It should not control us, but we should be concerned about our presentation as a productive member of society. And part of that is being a parent or living in a home with others, our significant other. When they interact with us, how do we leave them? Do they get a sense of well-being in our presence? Or are they like, I can't wait until she leaves? Or I can't wait for him to go to work. I can't stand him, right? Are they like that? Ask them. I dare you to ask the people in your home, how do they see you? How do they feel you are in relationship to them? I dare you. I triple decker dare you. I dare you. I dare you to ask the people that you live with, how do you see me? I want to know. I want to know. And then I dare you to ask a couple of your good friends, how do you think I'm doing? How do you see how I interact with the world, interact with society? They say, child, you angry all the time. I don't even really give it that much weight because you angry. Everything that come out of your mouth is cause if they say something like that, you need to go deeper. You absolutely need to go deeper. Listen, listen. It's a beautiful day. I want to get some exercise in. My name is Mighty Stream, and I will be talking to you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.